So look what the Burl Hunter is doing today. The first thing we did was we cut this large slab in half so that we can transpose the live edges to the inside to create a river. Second thing we did was we put it through our 50-inch double-headed drum sander and leveled out the slab. Next, what you see us doing is routing out a portion of this slab so that we can inlay 3/4 inch plywood. So you can see we built a long piece of plywood. Using the Festool Dominator, we routed dominoes into the edges, glued the edges, and then put them all together to make one long 15-foot piece of plywood. Now, adding this plywood adds to the rigidity and the overall structure of the entire table. The next step is sealing up the edges so that we don't have any leaks. We are creating the form right now. We're also taking steps to use as least amount of epoxy as possible, so we are filling up all of the gaps and the holes with Bondo. This is an easy, quick way to fill up holes, as long as it's going to be a solid color. We're making a pattern to go one more layer thick of a plywood, specifically so we take less epoxy. Can you guys guess how much epoxy we ended up using? I will post it down below so that you can know if you guessed right. Seal coating the plywood is always important. We have to make 3 seal coats before we can pour. That's looking pretty nice. The epoxy ended up being 3/4 of an inch thick in the center. Now we flipped it over. This is what the bottom looks like. And we're sealing the bottom. Sanding it flat. This is becoming a heavy table. Hey you guys, this is just a quick pro tip for when you're doing slabs and you have a crack that goes all the way through the block. And I'm going to show you what it takes to make this a form so it'll hold epoxy. So stay tuned, you're with the Burl Hunter. So what we're using is Bondo, regular Bondo with fiber in it that gives it some tensile strength. And Cody has mixed up some Bondo with black in it because our river is black. And this has about 3-minute working time. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this crack with the Bondo and then put a board here so that when we pour, it is going to be a small form. So Cody is ever so professionally putting in Bondo in wood, which works really, really well for this project. So it's best to use as much as you can to fill up your crack so you're waterproofing it. So I'm forcing this up into the crack. And all this will sand off to the level of the wood. but it's nice that you can actually put pigment in this Bondo. So one of the things that we are doing here is we don't want to put Bondo on this face, because if we do, it's going to be a different color than the epoxy. So we're going to have to form up this side so when the epoxy runs down, there's going to be a small stick here and a stick that goes up, so we can just pour right in there. It'll be solid epoxy. It will match the epoxy in the middle of the river. And that is a pro tip. Here we go with the first pour. We have mixed 5 gallons of this wonderful stuff, and it didn't go very far. I'm using a syringe for those smaller parts. It's always easier. Or you can use a funnel. Torching it down, looking good. The sides of our form look like they worked well. So could you write in the comment different ways that you have done this? I would love to learn from you. This is how we did it, but I can always improve. So please leave the comment below on how you take care of a hole on the side of your river pour. So here's your pro tip for today. What do you do when you have a gap on the side of your table and you want to fill it up? Stay tuned. Here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to form this up. We're going to make an L form, just like that. The length of, there's cracks underneath here, so we have to come all the way over to this portion of the slab to here. And what we've done is we have put tack paper on these two surfaces so that the epoxy won't stick, and then weather stripping. That is going to make a corral for the epoxy. And going to make sure that we have our best seal, because you don't want any of your epoxy leaking out. All right, so this is going to fit right up into here. I'm going to push in so it squeezes that weather stripping. Right there, that's being held. Then we're going to go right here. We're going to push this in, put another clamp. All right, so that's pushing up, making a good seal. So the weather stripping can easily roll off, so you want to make sure that you come up, not slide it in. This seals your horizontal, this seals your vertical. So it's pushing this seal up against the wood so it will not leak. We're going to do the same thing over here. All right, so we have a good seal here. I'm going to put a clamp right here because it's such a long distance. You want to make sure that you are sealed all the way around. And there you have it. This is ready to be poured with the same black as we have in the center of this table. And it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful edge with the wood and the black contrasting each other. Here goes another 5 gallons, and then now we are pouring the edge that we just formed up with a funnel. That way we try to make as less mess as possible. And boy, is this table thirsty. After filling the river, we routed everything flat and did our 3 seal coats and a flood coat. They wanted a matte finish, so we sanded this to 1000 grit. After sanding it to 1000 grit and buffing it, we had to crate it up because it was heading out to Texas.